right, welcome to the Let's Play podcast. We are so excited to have Adrienne Bazir here today. She is the developer and creative mastermind behind In Stars and Time, and we are so excited to talk with you about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I have been following your work for quite a while, some of your like fan comics and whatnot, and I know this game started out as a comic. When did you realize like it was more than just a comic?
Yeah, so I made the very first one around 2017, if I remember correctly, and I made pretty much one a year just as the ideas were coming, and it was during the pandemic actually that I was stuck at home, working from home, very bored, needed some way to do something, and I did always have in the back of my mind the idea of making this a video game. And I guess the pandemic, I had so much free time, but I decided it was time to make it a reality and actually get to it. So nothing, well, I was about to say nothing really made this happen, but the pandemic did. Like really, that was really, and so because the game is such, the game is about time loops, it's about repeating the same day, and that was kind of what the pandemic was for a while, and so that was kind of a way to to exercise all of those emotions when it came to the pandemic and everything.
I want to know, like, what is it about time loops that's so appealing to you?
I really love the concept, especially in video games. I think it is such an interesting concept to go with because for a lot of video games, at their core, they are all time loops. Like if you take your basic Mario game, Mario is having fun on a level, jumps into a hole, dies, comes back to the beginning, the game over. You do have game overs, you do have ends, but then you always come back to the very beginning. And even if you do complete the game, if you end up liking the game a lot, you want to go back to it and you restart it all over again. And of course, with a game like Mario, like why would you think about it like a time loop game? But they are, like when you start thinking about a game with a story, like a lot of RPGs, it like I really love this concept of trying to think of heroes that are stuck on a quest and then having to redo that quest all over again even though they thought it was over. And that is a concept that I actually um touched upon before I even got the idea of In Stars in Time, because can't remember, probably 2015 or something. I made a comic called A, which is pretty much just the Mario thing, but with another character being stuck in a time loop of repeating the same level over and over. So that was, time loops were something that were in my mind for a while, and then wanting to really explore what it would be like to have a time loop as a uh as a gameplay thing, but really think about what those gameplay things of having to restart, having to see the same lines, what that would do to a person, and like what I would do to a person if it happened in real life, but and really explore the emotional piece of it was really fascinating to me, and I wanted to make a whole game about it.
Yeah, I feel like we both kind of grew up in the Homestuck fandom
Yep,
genre,
exactly.
so
That too, Homestuck. Like Homestuck is such a perfect example of taking those basic video game concepts, and like the inventories in Homestuck that are such, like everyone has their own way of taking items out of their inventory. This is a really good concept for a game. It's really complicated to actually use. It would be really annoying, but that's what makes it interesting. So I really, that is actually, yeah, that is exactly it.
Yeah, I know you have a little bit of a background in game design before you started this. So, was RPG Maker always your choice, or was it because it's the most accessible? Like, what was deciding that journey like?
So I had made another game before, like a couple years earlier. I made a visual novel called Serre, which I made through for a game jam. I think it was a 2 month game jam, so that was a pretty sizable amount of time, but that was perfect for me. And so I used Ren'Py. I still never know how to say it out loud. But Ren'Py, like the visual novel software. And that was also the same way that using RPG Maker for In Stars and Time was very easy to use. Um, and but when it came to using RPG Maker for In Stars and Time, uh, it's just that I had happened to buy it on sale on Steam like a couple months before for like RPG Maker goes on sale so often and for so cheap. Like sometimes you can get old versions for like $2, and I was like, you know what? Maybe one day I'll maybe one day I'll use it. I might as well buy it while it's $2 instead of 60. And then just trying it just because, yeah, I knew that it was going to be an RPG, because I was inspired by a lot of RPGs. So it was just about, all right, let's try this. I don't know how to code, let's just try this and see what happens. And then I think I figured out like how to do a loop, which is pretty much, hey, if I die, can I go back to a certain point and then a counter goes up for one more loop? Can I do this? Is this doable? And then now it's something I can do in like 2 minutes, but back then I think it took me 4 hours. And at the end of those 4 hours, let me tell you, like the rush, like the whoa, I can do anything. I can make a counter go up. You know what? Like game world, here I come. I can do anything. So just trying to figure out the basic concepts, trying to figure out, is this even doable with the skills that I have? Yes, it is. All right, let's go. Let's try and make the rest.
Awesome. And I'm curious, like, how did you go about kind of organizing the plot and how you wanted to reveal elements based on like every loop that you're
Uh,
experiencing?
it was very fun. Well, I use a program called One Microsoft OneNote, and I really recommend it just because it has so many tabs. Like you can have tabs instead of tabs. So I was like, all right, this is my tab for the plots. Instead of the tab for the plot, I'm gonna have a tab for Act One, and instead of my tab for Act One, I'm gonna have this, and then so just the kind of nightmare thing that only I can understand, probably. But for me, it's like, yeah, I know exactly where to go. It's fine. And really, when it came to like figuring out where everything was, uh, I did take like a whole day to write down the whole plot as I understood it at the time. I think it was like after maybe 6 months of development, just writing down everything. And when I didn't know what was gonna happen in the plot, I would just make something up, just enough so I could be like, and then magic happened. And next point, we'll figure it out later. Let's just put something that could work, the most basic thing, and then we'll come back to it later. And having that figured out helped me also figure out, okay, then it means that for act two, this is the general feeling, so this is what should happen during like the fun events, like the fun little things that happen during a loop. Those are pretty much all happy-go-lucky. Nothing that's gonna happen except for one or two for like foreshadowing. For act three, let's get a little more depressed and all of that stuff. And then just figuring out small hints and foreshadowing that I could add, because like I personally love to replay games where sometimes you're like, I'm just thinking of Tales of Symphonia again, because that's always the go-to RPG in my mind. But in Tales of Symphonia and in a lot of Tales of games, sometimes you have characters that are hiding things, and the characters are talking about something and one character is on the side just going dot dot dot, and you're like, I don't know where you're dot dot dotting, I guess I won't worry about it. And if you replay it, you're like, oh my god, he was dot dot dotting because of this secret. And I love that stuff. So I wanted to add the same thing to a bunch of moments in my game where it's like, this is a funny joke, or is it? Maybe it's going to destroy you later. You should keep that in mind. So that was also something that I put in my little notes, like, don't forget to add foreshadowing here. Add a funny joke here that's going to make them cry.
Like, as soon as I finish the game, I'm like, oh, I really want to go back and restart it and kind of see, like, the things I missed plot wise and just, like, foreshadowing wise. But I'm like, is that rude to Sifrin? Should I do this?
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I try to think of it as you're not bringing back this Sifrin, you're helping another Sifrin, so it's fine. This is morally right. Ethically okay to restart in Stars in Time.
But yeah, that's something like every bit you're very good about, kind of having the gameplay put you kind of in Sifrin's mind space. Like, how did you kind of balance getting that feeling from the player without, frustrating them by being like, oh, you have to go through the house again?
Spoiler alert, I did frustrate a lot of people. Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I never got frustrated. I was like, oh man, now I can
Glad.
read that thing.
I'm really glad. But yeah, I figured this was something that was going to frustrate people, not to this extent. I was like, oh, a lot of people are getting really frustrated to the point that they're like, I could recommend this game. However, know that this is frustrating. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And some people are like comparing it to Pathologic.
That's
And
what
I'm
I was
like,
just about to say. I saw that review and
I'm like, that is really, like, you know what? I'm so honored. Like, Pathologic, I think from a game design perspective, is so incredible and so fascinating. But is it really that hard? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. But yeah, I did intend to frustrate players to a certain extent, and again, hopefully not in a way that makes them want to quit the game. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, absolutely something that I wanted to do, because like a lot of people have been noticing and realizing, uh this time loop story about repetition and about the main character being annoyed and depressed about the repetition would not hit as hard if you weren't also annoyed and frustrated by the repetition. And I did try to mitigate it by having the main character Sifrin also irritated, because that way it's not like it's kind of showing to the player that they're not alone in this journey and feeling that way. And also, since Sifrin is mentioning this is annoying, I hate this, blah, 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 then it's also giving a sign to the players that I, as the creator, know that they might be feeling that way, and that this is purposeful. And I feel like there's a difference sometimes where you're like, I'm feeling negative feelings about this piece of art, about something. Is is this what I'm supposed to feel, or is this not what you want me to feel? Because if you don't want me to feel this, then you have failed and you're a hack. But if you do want me to feel this, then all right. If you do want me to feel this, maybe I'll see where you're trying to lead me in this annoying journey that you're putting me on. But yeah, I personally, my point of view when it comes to art is that, like, art in general, and by that of course I mean video games, I mean paintings, I mean music, it shouldn't be happy fluffy feelings all the time. And I think that if any piece of art uh, makes you feel something that is that indifference, it becomes art, even more art than it already is. And I feel like that, like, the frustration that the players feel is also a strength, because I'm being a little evil by saying this, but it makes them remember the game. And that's why I think games like Pathologic, like Fear and Hunger, also, that are just very hard games that ask a lot of out of you and a lot of frustration, a lot of note taking. That's why people want to play them and want to defeat them a little bit. It's like, okay, this game has now become my enemy in a certain way, and I don't want to run away from an enemy. I want to see where the enemy is leading me here. But yeah, it was purposeful. I didn't think it was going to be to that extent. I'm sorry, players, but I'm glad you're feeling that way, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen people's comments and like my own experience of just like occupied my mind so much as I was playing it. I'm like, any chance that I can get to keep playing it, I'm like, I've got to get back to it. I gotta solve this.
I'm so glad. And I think that that is part of something about the player's response that has been so amazing to me, is also the wild difference in play times. I don't know if you've seen, but there are some people, even press people, some of them are finishing the game in 12 hours. Mostly they're finishing it in 20, 25 hours. But I have seen some players, like some reviewers on Steam, that are like at 60 hours. And so it is fascinating to me that it it seems like the game seems to be managing with those very different play styles, like whether you have someone that is just, I'm going for what the game tells me, and this is really frustrating because yeah, you're not really exploring, but also you're kind of acting the way Sifrin would. Or the 60 hours playthrough ones are just exploring everything, realizing that there are new things that are appearing through loops that are slightly different in the way that Sifrin reacts to them, and are really, really engaging with that, the small little things that are appearing, and also are acting in the way Sifrin would. So it feels like there are different Sifrins being created. Either the Sifrin that just, I'm just gonna go straight for the goal, I'm tired of this already, or the, but this is nice also. Like this repetition, this routine is nice, and going through this game is nice. So I'm really glad that people are having all of those different experiences in that way.
Yeah, I actually have no idea how long my playthrough was because I played on the Switch, and if
Yep,
you, just
yep,
do
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
sleep mode,
The sleep mode, yeah, aware of this. We're trying to work on it. But I think
it's
it's
so
also very
funny.
funny to see like 200 hours, and it's like, oh, yes, a very long game. I did it.
But yeah, I think one of the strongest things is that from the very beginning, you create very engaging characters that, like, they are your friends and you want to, like, help them and know them. So, what was kind of your
Yes.
strategy for making, like, such appealing characters?
The way that I try to create characters is by going for an archetype of a character, and then either, for example, in the case of Isabeau, subverting that archetype a little bit, or maybe in the case of Odile or in the case of Bonnie, to go a little deeper of why they are the way that they are. So you have Bonnie, who's very much like that kid who does not understand the emotions that they are carrying inside. Because as a kid, like as an adult, we can go to therapy, like, or whatever, but as a kid you're just like, I'm feeling so many things and I don't know what to do with those at all. So this is gonna, whatever feeling I'm holding here is gonna come out in some very strange ways because I am a preteen. And so working on those um different, yeah, different facets of people, and trying to, and I try to figure out very quickly like what each of their secrets are, kind of, which are pretty much the secrets that you learn during act 3 if you try to get them to know them a little better, like trying to figure those secrets out very early, and finding out ways for those secrets to kind of shine through a little bit in the way that they act and in the way that they react to certain things. And I feel like that adds just doing that, because I did a lot of other things, but just having one character and one secret that you kind of show a little bit uh adds a lot of depth to a character in the first place. And then after that, it's like, all right, let's find them some hobbies and not just have them as like, this is what we would put on them for like a character description, but how do those hobbies shine through? How do certain tastes shine through? What do they have in common when it comes to taste as well, and in a way that you might not expect? And of course, like, the usual, I feel like it's the same. I'm going to repeat the same thing that every artist has learned. And it's like, but also look around you, take inspiration from real life. And then every time I heard that, I was like, oh, no, it can all come from my brain. Yeah, but also it should maybe look around you, just because I try to also go at it from the perspective of every person that you see on the bus has a very interesting and rich inner life. Because I feel like for me, sometimes, especially when I was younger, sometimes you see people on the bus and you're like, I am the only real person here. I am the main character, and everyone around me is a sheep. I'm 16 years old. Uh, this is how I think. But as I got older and meeting a lot of different people that I didn't get the chance to meet when I was younger, realizing that if you talk to someone for long, like literally anyone for long enough, they will have very quickly a story that makes you go, that's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And so trying to create characters from this point of view of like, everyone has something to give to you, even people that you might see and be like, oh, I don't know, I feel like this person that I see as not smart, not interesting, not cultivated, literally everyone. And so everyone has different ways of seeing the world. And so trying to imagine what the world would be from the point of view of those other people is good inspiration.
Yeah, and it's like each of them honestly they have the traits of a main character in an RPG. Like they all have
Yes.
their own quest.
Yes, yeah, that's something that I was thinking of a little bit too. Is like, yeah, it's easy. Like even Sifrin, like if you look at the whole story of In Stars in Time, whatever came before, Mirabelle would be the main character, and not Sifrin. Sifrin would be like the one of the last party members to arrive, and you're like, he's a little mysterious, but we're gonna trust him. But Mirabelle really is the chosen one, the main character. Bonnie is a kid, so obviously already has the main character sticker in front on their forehead because they're the youngest one. Uh, Odile it, also really has main character syndrome sometimes. Isabeau feels like he would be the main character of like a dating game in a lot of ways. So I feel like, yeah, just trying to also imagine how, yeah, how they would feel as a main character.
Yeah, it truly was amazing. Also, just every time Isabeau confession starts to happen, I'm like, I
Oh
know it's
yeah,
not going to happen, but
yeah,
I'm
that was
frustrated
that was my
anyway.
favorite part. One of my favorite parts in writing this is just like, oh, this is so. I can just imagine how angry people are gonna get every time it's a fake out. Oh, this is so good, and it happens a lot. And I was like, I wonder if people are gonna try and maybe figure it out, and then it's not gonna happen. Like, I had a lot of moments like this when writing, where I was like, oh, this is evil, so I have to put it in.
I feel like that's how a lot of writing goes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, they're gonna suffer so much. It's great. That's what I want.
But yeah, when you were creating Sifrin, there's definitely kind of like a spin on the concept of like a silent RPG protagonist in that they have thoughts. He's just not expressing them to
Yes.
everyone a lot of the time. Was that like
Yes.
a trope you were actively thinking of?
Absolutely. I love those types of characters, and I love well, I was really inspired by the Persona games, of course, and just because, like, in the Persona games, main characters are all silent protagonists, but they all still have a personality that shines through. Like, if you take the Persona 3 main character and the Persona 4 main character, even though they never really talk, and you're the one that chooses what they say, they have very, very, very different personalities. Whether it's by what they say, the choices that they have, or the hobbies that they decide to do during gameplay, like the side jobs that they decide to do, like all of those, the way that they are shown are so very different, even though again they don't speak at all. And I was really fascinated by that, and by um how 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 to have a character that doesn't speak a lot, and how to steal a lot of that personality to shine through. I did kind of cheat by giving them a lot of monologues, like a lot of internal dialogue, but I really like that. And but it did get to the point where early in development I was thinking about adding even more of that interpretation by not giving Sifrin any portraits, and just letting players figure out what their thoughts are and everything, just with their monologue and with the responses that they would give. And then I told a friend about that, and I was like, "Isn't that the best idea you've ever heard?" And he was like, "No, that's stupid. Your portraits are really good and expressive, and you shouldn't know." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I thought it was a good idea, but I really, really and I think that's something that people maybe do not always realize, how much Sifrin does not talk. And I think the funniest way is that a little before the release, we did a Q&A on Twitter from the perspective of the characters. So people would send in questions, and I would answer as the characters. And then people were like, I was answering questions and blah blah blah, and then Sifrin was just not talking a lot because it's Sifrin. And someone sent in a question like, "Sifrin, you're very quiet. Like, is everything okay?" And I had to be like, "Yeah, Sifrin does not talk. That's not, you are always hearing their inner thoughts. So you might think that they are very talkative, but they are very much the one that's in the corner, just with their arms crossed and like having a little smile on their face as they listen to everything. That is very much their character type. They do not talk. So yeah, trying to imagine this kind of character was very interesting. Again, like their inner life was very interesting.
And especially, I feel like it's a fun way to kind of explore beyond, there's so much diversity in the game, but also you kind of get like the neurodiversity experience from Sifrin, which is like
Yes.
nice to experience in a game. And especially like when
Yes.
he will say things, and I'm like, oh, that's something I've thought before. And I don't normally see protagonists thinking.
Yeah, that is really interesting actually, about the neurodiversity, because there's a lot, like of course a lot of people uh were very happy and saying, yeah, Sifrin is so much like me, uh in this way, like they're giving me ADHD feelings, and all that stuff. And that is not something that I've meant to put in at all. And that happens with other characters too, where they're like, "Oh, this character definitely is like me in this way, or definitely like me in this way." Like, and I hear those words, and I'm like, "That's, I didn't mean to add that." Like, I'm really, really glad that people are seeing themselves in it. And it just makes me really happy to hear all those interpretations, especially since that, yeah, because that's not something I've meant to put in. So it's it's like those characters are taking a life of their own beyond me, and that is always something that fascinates me about fandom in general, to see how characters grow outside of what the source material was like. And so seeing all of that stuff is just like, oh wow, I never thought of that. That's interesting. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that's always, I think, the hardest parts of playing a game when it's recently come out is I'm like, I want to see more fandom interpretation. See what
Oh,
they.
the Discord, like the In Stars and Time Discord, is really popping off when it comes to that stuff. I am, there's so many people. Every time I look at the member count, I'm like, you guys are all here? Really? Okay. That's a lot of you. But yeah, that's just delightful.
And that's kind of so an interesting thing about your storytelling is there are plenty of questions left unanswered at the end of the game. And was everything that you didn't address a conscious choice? Were there just things that you were kind of like, I don't need to answer this, it doesn't need to be in the narrative? What was that like?
Yeah, 100%. I like so far every like a lot of people have asked me like, yeah, what about this? What about this thing? This thing wasn't answered. This thing wasn't answered. Are you like, do you intend to answer those questions? Literally every question that they ask me, I'm like, yeah, that's a secret. That's on purpose. Like it's not. It's because like it is parts or partly like a writer thing and partly like a marketing thing because the writer thing is it doesn't need to be answered. And I think that it would actually be detrimental to the story for some of those questions to be answered. And that there needs to be some mystery to feel like the world exists outside of what the story of the game is. So I will never answer those questions. Some of those questions, I don't even know the answer. Like the name of the country, I'm like, I don't need to know. Like that's not my business. That's not my thing. That's not my
You're like,
business.
no one knows.
No one knows. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. You don't need to know about this. That's not. And from a marketing point of view, that is great for fan works because people are gonna like again but like the fandom part of it was always on my mind when it came to like what will make people interested in the game and engaged with the story. And having questions unanswered is one of the best ways to get people engaged because then their imagination goes wild. And it's the same reason that I kind of left the ending open, like open ended when it comes to like, and then what happens next? I don't know. Maybe you can write fan fiction about it. Maybe you can figure it out. Like I have my own ideas of what happens after, but you know what? I don't think I want to tell you guys because and then from a fan point of view, it happens so often that you have a game or a book or a movie or piece of media that is like that means so much to you and that you're like this was such a perfect little thing so perfectly like it ended perfectly. I don't need anything else. What? There's a sequel? What do you mean there's a sequel? Like that was perfect. Okay, I'll play this. And then the sequel sucks. And I'm like, that is part of the reason that I'm like, do you really want me to make another one? Do you really want me to tell another story? Because like I I have had like again, I have had stories that it's like for 10 years, I was very happy that this was it. And I have had times to like let this like simmer in my head of like, I wonder what happens next. What? Whatever I was thinking of is not real now because this is what's okay. And so that's a big part of why I will not answer those questions. There will not be another story. Maybe I will do like a little comic of like this. Maybe this happens at some point in the future, but I don't know. But otherwise, like I don't want to answer those questions because it's not my business anymore. And it's not your business anymore what I think. Now it's your turn. I did this whole game. You played many hours of it. Now it's your turn to do the work. And then you got to show me.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like when you make that fan and interpretation, it's kind of like that is the perfect continuation to whoever it is thinking that up. So it's like whatever a creator makes will never live up to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes there's stories that you're like, I read the perfect fan fiction of what happens after this, and that's all I need. This is canon to me now. Oh, what do you mean? You're continuing it? Oh, but and then also a lot of the time when that happens, it's never as gay or as happy or as found family as what you imagined in your head. And something is like, oh yeah, you remember how they were found family at the end and they loved each other and everyone and everything was happy. In the next one, they don't talk to each other anymore. It's like, that's not what I wanted. So yeah,
Oh,
I
you
know.
mean Jedi Survivor in a
I'm
nutshell?
there's so many of these. I'm thinking Tales of Symphonia too. But yeah, just those where it's like, nah, I don't like you. You don't want me to make a sequel. I know you want more, but it's your turn now. Just replay the game. I don't. It's not my job.
Yeah, that's something like I feel like it's been a very modern narrative thing recently where creators now are like, we don't want that ending where like the journey is over, everyone goes back to their normal lives. Like,
Yeah.
what is it about that that you're kind of like, no, everyone, like, talk about your feelings and continue on?
Yeah, just well, it's kind of like I'm speaking in general. I'm not even thinking of like a specific one this time, but it feels like having a story where you follow some characters for a very long time and you see their friendships and you see the hardships that they go through, and then the next installment they go and then they never talk to each other again. It's like, but I just watched you guys have fun. I wanted to see you have more fun. What do you mean? And there are some stories where the characters like are apart, but you still have signs that they keep in touch with each other. Like those are very nice. I love those. Sometimes it's like, but can you just tell me that some of them are roommates now? Like, do they really all have to go back to their own hometown and not live together again? But it's not good for them. They've been together for so long. You're gonna give them separation anxiety. You can't do that. You signed a contract. Yeah, that is a lot of I yeah, it's just always too bad. Like I completely understand why some writers would do this from a storytelling perspective, because then you can be like, and then it became a quest to bring them all together again. But give me another quest. I don't want that. And then also that way you meet them one at a time. And if you're a new player, you're not overwhelmed with like all of those new characters and all of the relationships that they have to one another. Yeah, but I don't care. I want them to just make something up that's not that they live in different places. Just like this one went to buy groceries. They'll be back tomorrow. There you go. There you go. I can meet them tomorrow. Like, so dramatic every time. I don't want that. Tell me we went to get groceries. I'm good.
And that's also, you like make fun of, the power of friendship save the day. Like, that's not just the answer. But it's like,
But
in the
it
end,
is.
it does, but like the work has to be put forth for that too.
Yeah, yeah, because it is also something about some time loop games that I have noticed. When you have a game that's around time loop, especially as a gameplay thing, uh, the solution to break the time loops is to do your quest perfectly. You have to find the perfect way to go through the quest. You have to do this quest, and then this quest, and don't forget this. And of course, like this is a very video game way to think about things. Like it makes sense, but it means that you like if the main character was an actual character and not just a character you're controlling, it it means if you only have to do the quest that you need to do in the perfect order to succeed, you don't see the people that you are doing the quests with as people. You see them as check marks, and you're like, all right, I need to do this thing, so we need to shake hands, we need to hug, and then hug it out. I need to go with to think with you about your problems, and then everything's okay. I saw you talk about your problems for this is the sixth time, all about your problems, but I have to fake it as if this is for the very first time. Like, that's not that's not healthy. That's not healthy. So that is also something that I really really wanted to show, is that like for okay, like Majora's Mask is an absolutely great game. Like, they didn't have to think about all the time loop stuff that I thought about. But in Majora's Mask, you do the same quest a bunch of times, and you talk to the same characters a bunch of times. And there's a very very sad quest that you can do when you make people get married, and then they watch the moon fall together. And but it's like, yeah, but you can still do it again, and then it doesn't really change that much, and you still, yeah, oh yeah, well, isn't it so wonderful to see you guys die as you get married for the second time, the third time, the fourth time? Like, oh no, that's not good for your brain, Link, you shouldn't do that. So I really wanted to go a little deeper into that stuff, and have a character that would genuinely be like, oh yeah, this is great for me. This is great for my mental health too, for us to talk about your problems again. And I have to act as if I've never heard those problems before. Hopefully you don't notice, but I'm just nodding as you're telling me your childhood traumas. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's so hard. Like this, and that's why, without going into too much spoilers, that's why I really wanted the ending of In Stars and Time to be the worst loop. This is the loop where Sifrin really fucks everything up. Sifrin's worst moments compilation, and to show that if that happened all of a sudden, if you had someone react like that all of a sudden for such an important moment, it's like, but what happened? Maybe we should help them because that's not normal, and because it would hit a lot less if it was like, hey, I helped you all with your problems. We beat the king and everything is happy and the world has been saved. By the way, I'm in a time loop. Okay, cool. Well, that helped us out, and that doesn't seem like a problem for you because everything has gone well. Like that's such like an ending. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
I was gonna say you kind of went for the opposite end of, and you have to do the perfect loop to break it.
Yeah. And that's why I made a prototype for In Stars and Time called Start Again, a prologue. And that was something where you actually had different endings in that one, where you would have the normal ending where the king kills you. You would have the true ending where it's like, hey, you have to again mess things up and show to everyone in your party that, hey, why are you holding that piece of glass and looking at it a lot? Hey, how come you found all those keys like right away? That is a little strange. Is there something you want to tell us? And then that's actually the right way to do it, is to make people notice that something's wrong, and then they're like, all right, we gotta do this, we're gonna protect you and everything's gonna be fine. And I did also add what I called a perfect ending, and it's where you act as so that they don't notice anything's wrong, and that is the worst ending. That's what I wanted to do. Is this because I really wanted to show something that I personally struggled with. So like, hey, did you know that when you're depressed or anxious or something, you can tell your loved ones about it and maybe they can help? You might not know this. I know, maybe like I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I know you might have gone to therapy, but did you know you can talk to other people? uh, it's like, oh wow, that's really amazing. I never thought about this. And so that's really something that I wanted to put in this game, is to like, hey, we can talk about the power of friendship and everything, but you don't have to always give, and you can also accept things that are given to you, and that's okay. You can also be vulnerable, and maybe it would be a good idea if you were. Maybe that would help. So I really wanted to showcase that stuff, and put in a time loop about the power of friendship.
Yeah, you mentioned that adults can go to therapy, and I hope Vogard has therapists.
I think they do. They seem pretty good about like mental health and all that stuff. So I think they do. I should have added like a room about, this is the therapy room. This is where people to go to therapy. And then Ojiel is like, therapy, huh? We also have therapy in Cowboy. And Sifrin's like, what's therapy? Like the only one. I don't know what therapy is, but everyone seems to know. So I'm not going to say anything.
I like the idea that he forgot about therapy.
I don't know what therapy is. And then in a later loop, you can be like, okay, now you've been wondering for too long, what's therapy? And everyone answers, and everyone does a therapy session, and then there you go. You won the game. This is the way to win the game. You just need to get that specific event to win.
And yeah, so that's something like Loop. Did they always exist as a character in your mind, or did they kind of come about as, I
Yes.
need this as a game mechanic?
They arrived very, very early. I think it was before I even figured out some of the main characters' personalities and names. I just knew that I needed like a helper character in some way. At the beginning, it my idea was to have some old original characters of mine that were also related to wishes, and I was like, I could just put them in here. And then I was like, okay, that's tacky. I can't. I love tacky things, but that's too tacky for me in this specific instance. I'm not gonna do it. And then stars started coming out as like a symbol that I used a lot. And I was like, I'll just draw a star character, and then we'll just figure it out. And when it comes to Loop as a character, and then I put character in like spoilers or whatever, that was like the also something that I had figured out very early about like who Loop truly is. I was like, yeah, of course, like I gotta do that. That's such a good idea. I gotta do that. There you go. And so since that's something I figured out very, very early, like the foreshadowing is everywhere. And I have seen people on Discord that just went through some of the game again and we were like, wait, the whole time, wait, wait, the hints are everywhere. And I'm like, yeah. So that was very, very funny to see people react and be like, wait, now that I know, it feels like I understand everything.
I mean, even just the dialogue options when Loop's like, "Hey, who do you think I am?"
Yeah, yeah. I that was something I actually was worried about that. And so like I was worried that people would either figure it out or something like that, and or that would have theories as to Loop was. And so I just put it as like, honestly, it was a little cowardly of me to be like, hey, yeah, I know that you might be thinking about this. So here's like, I know you're thinking about it. So here's my little event to show that I know that you know that I'm and so, but I did have a lot of fun adding all of those choices and be like, well, it could be like literally any character. Do you just or not at all? But I was surprised that most people seems like they picked. I think you're just part of the universe because you're a star. I never thought that you were someone. Are you someone? It's like, oh, okay, I didn't need to add that, but it makes me happy still to see it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Loop voiced my feelings a lot of time. Like, I love when they were like, "You're calling them your family members now? That's kind of
That's
cringe."
yeah, yeah. That was something worse. I was like, is there like I was really thinking about it. I was like, okay, I had like friends, I had allies. Is there a word for family members that's not so awkward? And I couldn't find one. So I was like, I guess it's family members, but it's so awkward. I have to have someone say that is really awkward. Do you know that? Do you know that's really awkward to say? Yeah, I know. I know, but Sifrin likes it, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's cringe, but I'm happy that you're on your journey to living your best life, maybe.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, I guess. But my God, did you know that's a lot of words to add like as a variable inside of the game code? It might not fit in every text box. Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, okay, sure.
So, as you have been like going on your creative journey, and even now that like the game is wrapped, are there, books, movies, TV shows that you're really like feeling drawn to and inspired by?
I've been a lot like way more into French movies lately. Just what did I watch recently? I watched Anatomy of a Fall, and that was such a good movie. It's because it might not seem that way in the way that I tell stories, but I am a very good audience when I read stuff or watch stuff or anything, and I do not think. I turn off my brain and I'm like, this is great. I'm having so much fun. And even for like mystery stuff that it's like you should maybe think about who the killer is. I'm like, okay, and I'm just having fun. But this is the very first movie where even I was like, wait, what's happening here? And I fought during this movie. And just for that, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. This is my movie of the year, Anatomy of a Fall. 10 out of 10 made me think. Back of the box quotes made me think and made me go, this is interesting. What's going on here? So for that, yeah, 10 out of 10. I've been also trying to catch up on my backlog of games. Because
I can imagine.
yeah, because making a game means that you don't really have the time to play games. So I've been catching up on that. I have like, and since I have started making games, I have made friends with a lot of other game developers, and I feel like a game developer thing is to say, I've seen that you have just released the game. That sounds really cool. I'll get to it in 2 years. I don't. You know that, right? I won't do it right now. That seems really cool. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad. I can't play it right now. You need to give me 2 years, so I need to catch up. And then last one. I've been reading a lot of web comics about like villainous type plots, villainesses. I don't type plots where you have like this premise that they're trying to act as if this is like a deconstruction of something, but it's not. Where it's like, oh, you have a dating sim, and then you have the main girl, and you have the main rival, and the main rival always dies in every single path that you can take in this romance story because the villainess can never win. And one day, one girl gets brought into the body of one of those rival girls, and she's trying to not die and not get the bad ending, and she by doing that she romances all of the guys and makes friends with the main girl, and it's like, yeah, isn't this the greatest deconstruction you've ever heard? And you're like, yeah, are there a lot of like rival girls that died? Is this a trope? I don't think this is a trope that rival girls die, but I love it. I love this stuff. Yeah. So I think this is just fascinating how, and there are a lot of those. There are dozens and hundreds of those. And I'm like, but this is not a real trope. But I love that we're just acting as if this is one. I will read all of these. Thank you.
I mean, I feel like the whole like isekai genre is very much like, oh, we're deconstructing this. I'm like, this is just wish fulfillment.
Yeah. This is not. You're not actually deconstructing anything. You're just in a video game. Like you're just in a very basic video game. You're not actually deconstructing everything. You're just in a video game. But even then, I'm just like, yeah. And then what happened? I want to know what happens next. But I love those, like those fake deconstruction things.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to mention about your writing process?
uh Writing hard, but also writing easy. uh that's that's my end quotes. Writing hard, but writing easy. You, listener, write. You should write. It's easy. It will be hard, but it will also be easy until it becomes hard and then easy. Thank you.
I feel like we need to put that like all across the like Penguin Random House social media.
When people send you like, do you want to look at maybe my manuscript? Yeah, or, you didn't get it, but maybe you did. But also writing hard. You remember, writing hard, writing easy. Send us another thing later.
I personally love when people send me manuscripts because I'm like, that's not part of the company I work.
That's not my job, but I love it. This is great. Thank you for the free reading.
But yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me, and everyone watching, be sure to check out In Stars and Time if you haven't already. It is available on a bunch of platforms at this point, which is also amazing for an indie game.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.